welcome to Good Grief, a podcast dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing grief with compassion and humor. I'm Nikki. I'm an end-of-life doula and a grief coach in Columbus, Ohio. And welcome to Season 7. So happy to be back, although I haven't been anywhere. I've been working in the backgrounds here, recording other episodes, coming up with ideas, and just all of the things. I continue working, so yeah, but you all know that. But I'm so happy to be back. I'm Season 7. I can't believe how long this podcast has been going. I can't believe how lucky I am to have gone this far and to continue on. I read all sorts of statistics about starting new podcasts and how very few continue past 10 episodes or past 100 episodes. So the fact that here I am at 142, and that's full. I have over 160 episodes completely, like with my bonus episodes and re-airs and things like that. So yikes, I've been doing this for 3 years now, I guess. Either way, I'm thrilled. I'm happy. I'm so happy I can continue doing this. And I would like to say a shout out to my Patreon supporters out there. Thank you so much for continuing to support me. If you would like to help support this show and me, I use all of my funds from Patreon to provide pro bono work out in the community. I do volunteer work. I have at least one client I see off and on pro bono, and I give talks to educational settings about what it is I do. Then I can do all of those things because of the support of my patrons. You can find that support over at patreon.com/Nikki the Death Doula. But let's just dive right in, shall we? So today we're going to talk about isolation in caregiving. I was trying to come up, I like to start my seasons with a solo episode, like how I started this whole show. And we'll get into plenty of interviews coming up in this season. But I was mulling back and forth on what do I talk about this episode. And I thought this would be a good time to do, I've done episodes on caregiving before, but this one's specifically on isolation. But I thought now would be a good time because I have talked a few times in the past about the virtual space I created for caregivers, and I've made the very tough decision to take that space down. It was nothing bad happened. It just was not getting the traction I had hoped. I wasn't getting a lot of involvement there, and it's a lot of work. And with the amount of work and the cost to run that platform was very expensive. And I just couldn't quite, justify that expense and the amount of time I was putting into it for, what was coming of it. Now that said, I do still host a support group for caregivers on the first and third Thursday of the month. If that's something you're interested in, please reach out to me. It's over Zoom, so you can come in your pajamas. Okay. But let's talk about caregiving and the isolation. And I say this a lot about grief, and you hear this a lot about caregiving too, about how isolating it can all be. So first of all, if you are out there listening to this because you are a caregiver and you're having your anticipatory grief or real grief, or you know what you're feeling and you're not feeling great, and you're just listening to this, if you're sitting in a hospital parking lot or huddled up in a closet somewhere getting that 5 minutes of alone time, this is for you. It's also for anybody else out there who might become a caregiver or who is a caregiver of any capacity. So caregiving comes with a lot of isolation that we don't anticipate fully. And you'll have, especially when it comes to things like terminal illness or somebody who is aging, and you start telling your friends and family and loved ones, I'm caring for my mom now or my husband or whomever, that you'll hear a lot of, please let me know if you need anything. I'm here for you. I'm so sorry you have to, I know how hard this can be. And you'll be surrounded by people. And even with that, it's so hard to feel completely alone. So there's two different ways you can look at isolation, right? There's physical isolation where literally you have no support. There's nothing around you. You are alone. And emotional isolation. So physical isolation, that can happen if you're in a situation of caregiving and maybe you've recently moved, maybe you've moved to take care of somebody. I've known people in my life who have moved back to their home state to take care of their aging parents, and now they have their support systems kind of several states away, or maybe even in another country, and they're physically isolated from support around them. One kind of benefit to the world that we live in today with our technology is it is easier to find support on people for yourself from people virtually. There's all sorts of amazing virtual platforms, like even Facebook, which I hate and don't use anymore. But I know a lot of people who have a whole community of people they rely on daily on Facebook in private groups. So, there might be another group out there that you can reach out to. So you might still be physically in a bubble away from your loved ones or your friends or family, but you can still find that support virtually, even if it's not, physically there to give you that hug you so desperately need. But there's also emotional isolation. And this is something I unfortunately see a lot with caregivers that I have worked with who are helping a parent, specifically a parent. And I've seen this with others as well, but a lot of times when someone is dying and they have multiple children, it tends to be one child. I'm not saying this is all the time, but it tends to be one child that is doing the brunt of the work. A lot of times I've seen, I'm doing all the work. I'm here with mom 24/7. My sister's got power of attorney, so she's paying all the bills and she's paying for X, Y, and Z for mom, but I'm the one actually doing all the work. And while it is nice to have some of those bills covered and helping to continue mom's, financial stability, however that might be, or pay for her other care, but to have one person doing all the heavy lifting causes family dynamic issues. It causes isolation, like the emotional isolation, and it can cause a rift in family, especially when it comes to after the loved one is gone. The other siblings might come in and share all their opinions about how everything needs to be handled when they weren't there handling all the day-to-day tasks. Now, that's not to say that their opinions, their feelings, all that are not valid. They're going to have grief too. That's not to say that, none of their input is completely necessary. However, it can make that one that's been sitting there the whole time feel really invalidated, that I've put all this work in, you were doing whatever, and now you want to come in and tell me how everything should go. I know what mom wanted. I was the one with her for the last however, things like that. So a lot of that comes into play, and it breaks my heart. I wish I had the answers on how to fix this. I don't. We'll get into a little bit about how to, manage all of this, but there seems to be this weird paradox for caregivers where you've got siblings who might be coming in giving their opinions. You've got doctors who are giving their opinions on what should be going on. And maybe even the person you're caring for doesn't fully grasp their situation and has their opinions on their care, which, that's case by case basis. I'm not going to make any broad judgments there, but there's, oh my gosh, people all around giving all their input on this care, and you're stuck in the middle of it, just doing your best, right? What an isolating feeling. And my heart goes out to you. Just, if you get one thing from this, please understand, don't take that personally. That is not you. You are not failing. Other people are failing you. The systems we have in place are failing you. You are not failing. You're doing the best you can. This is just the situation you're in. It sucks. It sucks. Okay. And we'll talk about what we can do to help manage some of our self-care. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but just other things that might be causing some feelings of isolation. So if you identify with any of these, I hope that this helps you a little bit. We talked about family dynamics and friends shifting. And even if you are now caring for a loved one, you're still in the same physical space, but you just don't have the time or capacity to spend time with your friends. So they start drifting away, or, you are having emotional outbursts because you're so burnt out all the time that people are walking away from you. None of this invalidates you, your feelings, or any of that. But Oh, all of these can have such intense feelings of isolation. So the hidden dangers with that, and this is why we need to start. And I promise you, we're going to get to this in a minute. We'll talk about self care and things like that. But if you are not cautious, this isolation can lead to all sorts of mental health issues. You can have obviously anxiety. Woo, that's going to skyrocket. Depression, and big one, resentment will start to come out. You will absolutely resent your friends, your family, everybody for not being there in the capacity you wish they were. And your physical health will start to take a dip as well. You're going to have not just, obviously physical and mental exhaustion, right? Decision fatigue is real. When you're making decisions nonstop for your loved one, that's a lot. And then at the end of the day, just trying to figure out what to have for dinner. I wrote a blog post, I'll see if I can link it somewhere in the description, about quick meal ideas for caregivers and how to, like, some great ideas to save some time just to have a decent meal ready for you if you're ever in that, instead of just saying screw it, I'll run to McDonald's. There's some ways around that. I'll put that link to that in the description below. But so as physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, this can weaken your immune system. And if you're caregiving, you have to be so cautious about what illnesses or anything you might be bringing into the person that you're caregiving for. Yeah, all of this will lead to an increased risk of burnout. I talk about burnout a lot. Burnout is when you just cannot. I have seen it firsthand, and it is utterly heartbreaking to see somebody who loves their loved one so much that they just break down because they're not doing it the way they want to. Things are going perfectly, whatever perfectly. Guys, it's never going to go perfectly, okay? It's not like the movies. And they just break down because they just can't go anymore. They're getting pressure from every side. They have these impossible standards of their own imposing from people around them that they just cannot meet. If that is you, I see you, and I'm sorry. Okay? So how can we feel a little less isolated? So first and foremost, I talked about self-care many times on this show. I have some other episodes. I'll see what I can find, a link down below on self-care. But please, just even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 30 seconds, to go outside, take a deep breath and look at the sky. Don't look in the sun, but you know what I mean. Go just physically separate yourself from the environment and take some deep breaths and come back. Anything you can do. Okay. There's a million other great tips out there. It's not just going for walks in nature and yoga, you guys. There's other things you can do that are quicker and easier. Taking care of yourself is so key. So, okay, I will link those below if I can find them. I will find them. So, what are some other ways you can connect so that you feel less alone? So, micro connections, we talk about that as much as a text message. Do you have a friend that you can just text in the middle of the night that's like, I am not doing okay right now, and I just need some validation? And that friend will send you a funny emoji or, a GIF, or just I see you, I love you, you got this. Here's a glass of wine, next time I see you, whatever. But even just a small text exchange with somebody there's that connection. It's not physical, but it's something. You now have somebody that knows and sees and hears that you're hurting right now and you're feeling alone. Find other caregivers. If you are able to, like I said, if there's nobody around you physically, try looking for virtual groups through, any type of social media. You can look into your local, like, hospital organizations. I know a lot of the hospital groups here in Central Ohio have support groups for caregivers, in person, virtual, things like that. Look for those online. Find other caregivers. If you are able to outsource some help, do that. If you have friends that can come and just hang out with your person for a few hours while you go get your hair done or go get a massage, or just go. I need to go somewhere not here for a couple hours. Just have somebody that you can find to sit with them. If it's financially feasible, if you can hire support to come in 2 or 3 days a week, to just manage while you go get a break, to manage your own life, then try to do that. You know, look for death doulas in your area. These are things we're happy to do. And then if it's just a simple ritual of some type of presence, like journaling, I'm huge on journaling, huge advocate for journaling. I've done entire workshops on that. Meditation or prayer, if that's something that is meaningful to you, if you have a church community or any type of religious affiliation that has a community, that's a great place to turn for help. Or, you know, speaking to your deity, whoever it is you choose to believe in, just that can bring a lot of solace to you. Just ask out loud, to ask for help. That's the simplest thing you can do, but for some reason is still the hardest thing you can do, is to ask for help. If you're one of those people that asking for help does not like come easy to you, I know I'm terrible at it. Full admission, I suck at asking for help. Ask my husband. Just practice. You know, it sounds weird, but look at yourself in the bedroom mirror. Look at yourself in a mirror and say, I need help. I'm struggling right now and I need help. Or even just practice what you might say to a loved one if you haven't spoken to them for a while and you're reaching out for help. Hey, I know it's been a while. I have been, caring for so-and-so for 6 months and it's just been 24/7. I'm feeling very alone and I could use a little support. Just try practice, ask yourself, just practice saying it out loud so that when you can, it'll come a little bit easier. I know that sounds cheesy, but it will help, I promise you. So this is me talking directly to you as a caregiver. If you're feeling alone or isolated, you're not failing, okay? You are not doing this wrong. This just means you're human. Any human would start to feel the way you feel in this moment. You're walking down a road, you're on a journey, whatever stupid metaphor you want to use here, that most people can't see. I see it. If you think about the people you cross paths with, perfect strangers on the street, they always say you never know what somebody's going through, right? And you don't. Look at people next time you go out on a walk or you're out somewhere in public and, look at somebody. Can you tell what their home life is like? So people probably don't know what your home life is like. They may not know you're suffering. They may not know how hard this is. I do. I know how hard this is. And I see you and I support you. I know that's not much. It's just words through your headphones or speakers or wherever you're listening to me, but I care about you, okay? I do. And there are other people that do as well. It might take some time to find your people, to find the support you need, but do not give up. Don't give up, okay? You are worth it, I promise. You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're normal. Surprise, you're normal. Okay? Okay, so to just kind of recap all that, there are reasons why caregiving feels so crappy. A lot of reasons. And it does. It can feel it can be very beautiful and fulfilling. Don't get me wrong. I hope I'm not scaring anybody like, oh my God, one day I'm going to have to care for my mom and it's going to be awful. It might not be, okay? But it can be. So you're not alone. Just remember that, okay? Just do what you can. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some grace. I'm always saying that on the show. Give yourself some grace. Do what you can. Try to find help. That can be as small as a prayer to your deity or as big as going to a support group or hiring somebody to come sit with your loved one so that you can go be you for a little while, okay? Do not lose sight of yourself. I see so many caregivers come out on the other side and they have no idea who they are. And they are going to be a different person because they've lost a loved one, but they don't remember how to be themselves anymore. And they need help kind of finding that new self. So try not to lose sight of who you are and the you that is in there, okay? If you would like to connect, if you feel like you need help, please reach out to me. Like I said, I have this support group that I do. It's free. I'm not charging anything for it at this time. So let me know. I'll get you the registration link so that you can hop on that Zoom call with us. And reach out for help if you need it, okay? All right. So says I. Now that we're at the end of the episode, you know what time it is. It is time for the Death Deck. Woot. Okay. So I'm going to shuffle up the cards. And I've got to face them away from me. Pull this one. All right. Your mother or mother-in-law is widowed and is now too frail to live alone. Oh, God, what do you do? Oh, geez. A, bring in a full-time caregiver so she doesn't have to relocate. B, get her into an assisted living space. Or C, mom's moving in with me or one of my siblings. I've had this conversation with my parents, and I'll just go ahead and say it. C will not happen. Mom, I love you. I'm not moving home again. And this place is not set up for anybody that has any type of physical limitations. My house is not ADA compliant in the least and not great for the elderly. We'll just put that there. That would be a conversation I would have, with my mom. I would hope she would be comfortable with an assisted living space. So my mother-in-law is deceased, but if she were alive and that were the case, I know her. She was very stubbornly independent. So that would be a really tough conversation that my husband and I and his siblings would be having. So, all right. Anyway, amazing woman. We miss her every day. But that's it. I'd be curious to know your answer to the Death Deck question. You can reach out to me, nikkithedeathdoula.com. You can reach out to me there. I'm not really on social media anymore. I do have a Substack, Nikki the Death Doula there. You'll see my podcast and some things there. And I have merch as well. If you're interested, right behind me, there's a shirt there. You can get that. I have journals, stickers, a mug with my logo on it. It's really cool. I ordered some journals. I'm waiting for those to get here. But you can order those if you go to nikkithedeathdoula.com/podcast. There's a link there to order any of that. The shirt comes in all sorts of cool colors too, by the way. Not just this green one. So please check that out. And if you have a story you would like to share of your loss on my show, please reach out to me. I have had a lot. I have a lot of interviews I've recorded that I'm still working on editing, but I'm always happy to have new conversations. So please reach out to me. That's all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, your grief is yours. Your feelings are valid. Grief doesn't always have to suck. Good Grief with Nikki the Death Doula is produced by Nikki Smith of Nikki the Death Doula LLC in Columbus, Ohio. Nikki the Death Doula LLC is for consulting, education, emotional support, and guidance, and is no way considered a funeral establishment or licensed mental health establishment. Scripts, editing, sound design, literally everything with this podcast is done solely by Nikki Smith of Nikki the Death Doula LLC, with the exception of the music. The music is Cheery Monday by Kevin MacLeod. Licensing information can be found at filmmusic.io.